Alright, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I use multitasking on a Samsung Z Fold device and even on the regular Samsung phones, but I'm mainly going to focus on multitasking on this device. People seem to be confused about why somebody would want to multitask and split screen on such a smaller screen compared to like a laptop or a tablet or even like a computer monitor, and I just want to show you how I do it. Alright, so the first scenario is with my banking apps, do my finances and stuff like that. So I have 3 notes apps open right now, and they're just going to represent these apps because I don't really want to show you my banking stuff, but just to give you an idea of how I use them. So normally I'll have like 2 banking apps open, and then I'll have a notes app to take notes. So let's say I'm looking at, money spent in one account, money spent in another account. I can look at the information in the first banking app, write it down here, and then look at the information in the second banking app and write it down here. And then I can pull up my calculator in the floating window and calculate. So let's say I spent $100 in banking app 1. So 100 plus $50 spent in banking app 2. Boom, 150 spent. Now I can write it down as a total in the notes app. So this is just one example of how I use multitasking. And the thing is, I'm not stuck to this kind of layout. Sometimes I might adjust it like this and then give banking app 2 a little bit more space. And then boom, I can work with it like this. Because the apps will dynamically adjust as well. So your numbers will still be very readable. The notes app will be here. Sometimes I might grab the notes app and make it longer. Sometimes I might rotate the phone and have a little bit more space like this as well. And then you can go even more like this. And now these are a little bit wider. So this is just one example of how I use triple split screen plus a floating window. It works very well for me. It helps a lot with like dealing with finances on the go and, just making sure you know where money is going. And even with like bills, like figuring out, when your bills need to be paid, writing them down. You can have your notes app, and then you can open up, different apps to figure out your bills. Or you can even open them in floating windows very quickly and easily with things like this, one-hand operations, or using the edge panel. So there's a lot of potential for split screen multitasking and using the floating windows at the same time. Like I said, you just throw them off to the side very quickly when you're not using those specific apps. So this is one way that I use split screen on my Z Fold devices. And if I take it to the outside screen, I also do this on my normal Samsung devices as well. You can do kind of the same thing. So I'll have one banking app at the top, second banking app at the bottom, and then I'll have my notes apps in floating window so that I can write down, whatever information I need to. And then I'll have a calculator in another floating window, throw them off to the side when I'm not using them, and then I can bring them back very easily. So this is how I use split screen multitasking on a Samsung device. It would just work so well. This is one example. Alright, so the next example is very simple when I'm logging into things or I need to do a 2-factor verification. Sometimes, even on iPhone, people say iPhones work every single time for verification, 2-factor, like the code will just automatically fill in. That's not true. But sometimes you need to open up your Gmail, for example, or your text messaging app to get the code. Maybe you missed the notification. So you can do 2-finger swipe from the bottom, and then I can just quickly select Gmail, and boom, I can look at my email, copy the code, paste it into the 2-factor verification on the other app. It's just that simple. This is one reason why split screen and floating windows just work so well for me. Another way I can do that same thing is, this is the full screen app that I'm trying to log into. I can just grab my Gmail app from here. Boom, I can copy the code exactly the same way and paste it on the other app. I can throw off to the side, right on the other app, and then come back to the Gmail app to see if there's any more information. And then right. That's another scenario. Just quick things like that. And then you can even apply this to, like, let's say I'm just scrolling on social media and then I get a text message and I want to respond, but properly. 2-finger swipe from the bottom, and then I can go into my text messages app and start responding to that person very quickly. While I was still having my social media app open, I can still go back and scroll. And I can even make this app a little bit longer and then still respond to text messages at the bottom. So this is another example of just how quickly and easily split screen and multitasking just work, even on the outer display. And then you can quickly dismiss that app and go back to what you're doing. Or you could have grabbed that app and put it into a floating window. So let's say text messages app, I could tap this blue and boom, it's a floating window. Now I can continue to talk to that person while still on social media. Alright, so the other way that I use multitasking, split screen multitasking, is like this. So I'll be playing a game at the bottom. As you can see, I have Wild Rift, and then watching a YouTube video or Crunchyroll or whatever media I'm watching at the top while playing a game at the bottom. And it just works super well. This is like the main way I play games on the Z Fold device. It takes better advantage of the screen rather than it being full screen and then part of the screen is cut off and stuff like that. So I'll be playing a game and have YouTube at the top. Some other ways I might use this kind of setup is with, like, let's say a messaging app. So let's say I'm playing with my friends, then I will open my messaging app side by side with YouTube or whatever other app I have. And then boom, now my messaging app is there. I'm watching a video and playing a game. And the reason why I have my messaging app open while I'm playing the game is if I'm playing with them, I can know what they're saying. So let's say they are like trying to go to the top lane to gank them, and they're like, yo, pull up. Then they'll say, yo, Jamal, gank top. And then I'll be like, all right, I can just respond real quick and then go to the top and we can rotate and gank the enemy. So that is just really nice for communication while I'm multitasking and playing the game with these people. Then you can also have different things, like you can have YouTube and Reddit. So I'll grab Reddit. And just look at how simple it is to switch between the apps, by the way. Now I have YouTube and Reddit. And like, obviously, if you're playing a game like this, you're not going to just be scrolling Reddit. But you know, in this game, you might be down for like a minute. Like if you die, your respawn time takes a little bit longer. So you can, you know, quickly just scroll on Reddit, see, okay, love Nothing Phone 2, but quite dislike Nothing Phone 3, and we'll return it, blah, blah, blah. You know, you can read that while listening to a podcast or a YouTube video. And it doesn't have to be a YouTube video. You can even leave this and go to, like, let's say Chrome, and then boom, now I can like search up Wild Rift tips or something like that while I'm playing the game, all on the fly, dynamically. And like, you see how the keyboard pops up and it's kind of annoying? You can actually change the keyboard so that it is floating keyboard, and that way it's just not gonna get in the way of the game as much as it does. I can even swipe, so swipe to type. I'm not the best at it, but there you go. You can swipe to type and just make it a little bit easier for yourself. And there you go, Garen has killed me. So this is one of the ways I use split screen on this phone. I think it just works really well, especially with the Fold 7 having a little bit more power. It's not going to throttle as much as the Fold 6 and previous folds and even the other Chinese foldable phones. Like the Oppo Find N5, the performance on that phone is not even as good as the Z Fold 6 in my experience with a similar type of setup. This phone has a little bit more power, and I feel like in my experience so far, it runs things pretty smoothly, and I've actually been enjoying it in split screen. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is basically how I use multitasking on this phone. All the same layouts I showed you earlier can be applied to many different things. So I showed you banking apps and calculators, but I also use it for, like, let's say, you know, reading my email, but also having my calendar open to plan stuff and things like that. Like, there's a lot of different ways I use split screen multitasking, and the way it's so flexible, you can adjust the size dynamically whenever you want. You can do a lot of different things. And then even now with Samsung, they added this ability to have two full screen apps side by side, kind of like OnePlus. So now you can have kind of like two full screen apps side by side. Obviously a game like this is not going to be the best layout, but like now I'm playing Wild Rift, bam, bam, bam. Then I can go here and just start searching on the web full screen. It's pretty decent, but personally, I mainly use the other split screen layout that you saw before, top and bottom split, especially when playing games, something like this, and then a YouTube video at the top, or Crunchyroll, you know, some anime at the top as well. So it just works really well for me. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I know a lot of people think multitasking on a phone is just not that good and a waste of time, waste of space, whatever. But personally, I like to have options. I'd rather have the ability to do it than not the ability to do it, because I'm telling you, the people who think it's a stupid feature, if they had it and they gave it a chance, it will come clutch in many different times and areas. Like, you get a text while you're doing something, boom, floating window. You get a text and you need to respond to that text while looking at something on the internet, boom, split screen or floating window very easily. And I'm going to show you the exterior screen. Like a game like this, you're not going to obviously play it in a split screen session like this, but you can do it. And honestly, it's not that bad because everything's here. All the controls are very easily accessible. So I can be watching a video while playing Wild Rift in full screen on, you know, the exterior screen of the Z Fold 7 or on a normal Samsung phone. If you have an S25 Ultra or the S25 Plus, you know, bigger screen phones, normal phones, you can do something like this and it will be pretty comfortable, to be honest. It's actually not bad. Like, I have full control, and the field of view is actually pretty decent too. So you see enough of the map around you to actually play decently competitively. So it's not going to be the best, obviously, ergonomic situation, but like, if you really want to multitask, it's actually a pretty good setup for that use case. Like if I want to shoot this minion, I can do that. If I want to shoot this minion, I can do that. If I want a last hit, bomb. Last hit, boom. Roll away, flash away, so I don't get killed. Like I can actually play on this exterior screen in this split screen setup. And you can make it a little bit smaller. So now it's like almost like a normal phone screen. You just have to move your thumb a little bit over. And you might think like, oh, why would you do this? Because YouTube is so small. But trust me, if you're just watching a video where you mainly care about the audio, this is not a bad experience. And you can even scroll through the comments when you're dead. Like it's small, but this is very readable for me. Like I'm holding the phone very far away because it's behind the camera and I can read. They said, I'm so glad that Pixel 10 will have built-in magnets. That was one of the reasons, I'm assuming, but I didn't upgrade to the 9. So you see what I'm saying? Like very usable for me. I know some people are going to look at this and think it's stupid, but there's so many applications and use cases that you can have for split screen multitasking, even on a regular screen like this or the exterior screen of your foldable phone. I did this kind of setup on my Z Fold 6 even though that exterior screen was smaller than this one. I still did something like this when I needed to on the fly or whatever. Another way that I use split screen is, let's say a game like Wild Rift, I'm waiting for a match to start, I'm waiting for it to find a match. I can join the lobby with my friends, press ready, and then they can start queuing to find a match, and then I can use, the bottom half of the screen like normal. Like it's a full app. I can go on Instagram, I can go on my messages, I can go on Google Chrome, and just do whatever I want while the game is loading. And then when the game is loaded up, I can either go into a split screen session like this, like I showed you, or just full screen it, and boom. So multitasking, again, just helps so much for those transition periods when you're waiting for something to happen. And let's say, even if you're playing a game like this where it's online, you can't just leave the game. You can float a window real quick, respond to whatever urgent message you need to respond to, and then just full screen the game again, and boom, you're back in. So multitasking is just amazing for gamers, but also just everyday people. Like I think there's so many applications for why multitasking can help, and being able to do extra things whenever on the fly at any moment. And then also just like in general, you might think of like, oh, let's say you're watching a video, you're watching YouTube, Netflix, Crunchy, or whatever. Let's say you see like a cake in that movie or that show you're watching, and you're like, okay, hold on, that looks cool, let me look up that cake recipe. Boom, floating window, and then I can go to Chrome. I can even toss the app off to the side and it's still running. I can still hear audio and just be like, cake recipe from Bleach anime, and boom, there you go. You can cook like Orihime. I don't know why you would, but you can. That is basically it. That's how I multitask on these phones. You have your gestures to start split screen from either side, and float window gestures and all that stuff. It's just very smooth, very easy, and very useful for me personally. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until the next video, we are out. Peace. I'll get back to this.